What's good, Rick in here, and today I want to talk about manufacturing. One of the questions I always get when I tell people about Moonlit is how do you go about creating your own mattress company? How do you go about designing this bad boy right here and getting it made and manufactured? And that's what I want to talk about today. More broadly, I want to talk about the process of designing and manufacturing something overseas. But first, let's jump to the intro. Like most manufacturing stories, ours starts off in China. One of the challenges with mattresses is that it's not something you can just make at home. With other furniture, you could go out to Home Depot, you could spend a few $1,000s and build the product you want to build. With mattresses, you need hundreds of thousands of dollars of specialized equipment. And frankly, you just can't find that in the States. It was almost impossible for me to find a custom mattress manufacturer in the United States. Flip overseas to China, and you can find plenty of companies who are willing to meet your needs. We started off our process by going to Alibaba. We weren't planning on buying something directly off of Alibaba, but rather we wanted to use that as a starting point to find manufacturers and reach out to them directly. After talking to a number of manufacturers, we found one that seemed pretty reputable and credible. We actually met with them in the United States. They were down in Texas and San Antonio for a convention, and we ended up getting coffee up in Austin. It was a great experience. We ended up chatting with the owner of the factory, and we sat down for an hour or two going through the details of the process, and also we just explored town a little bit. It was the one time I got to use a little bit of the Chinese I learned in high school, so definitely a great experience there. In that conversation, we really laid out the groundwork for what we were going to design. This wasn't an overnight process. Really, the design process was about 8 months in the making. We knew that we wanted it to be a combination of latex and memory foam. We also knew that we wanted to meet all the flame retardant standards. Once we decided on the guts of the mattress, they then gave us some more options, things like fabric samples. They would literally just send these over via the mail, and we would say, here's what color we want. They also sent over a number of fabric samples so we could feel the kind of texture. One of the things that was really important to me was having a fabric that just felt comfortable. I think that's the mark of great mattress. Even though you might never touch that fabric because you always have sheets on it, that to me is a sign of quality. One thing I want to make note of is that throughout this whole process, they're not very transparent with what it's actually going to cost. What I initially expected was that I would be able to go and say, hey, how much is it going to cost for me to change from blue to red? And they would be able to give me a dollar amount. But really, it was me giving them a spec of this is what we wanted and asking how much it would cost. And then coming back to them and saying, with a different set of specs and saying, how much would this cost? There's a lack of transparency of where the costs come from. And that's something I didn't expect. I expected that I could go ahead and ask them, how much does this fabric cost versus this fabric? And they would tell me. But they really want to protect their business and make sure that nobody else can tell. So they'll give you prices on things, but you have to go a little bit, but you have to be a little bit more roundabout. Eventually, we had what we wanted. It met our price point, it met our design standards. So then we went ahead and made a prototype and had it shipped over. The way that worked is we paid about twice the cost of an actual mattress. So it cost us $500 just to get a prototype of a twin mattress for it to be shipped over here. They did refund that once we made our whole order, but it was something to think about, and it was a steep cost early on. Once we got our sample, we were really impressed, and fortunately things worked out. But we had also built in an extra 6-month buffer. In case if that whole process didn't work, we could go to a different manufacturer and say, let's start over. Because there were definitely concerns that the mattresses just might not meet our standards. Based off the prototype, we were able to make a few slight tweaks, nothing that really changed the cost, and then we placed our order. When we placed our order, we had to put down 25% down and the other 75% as it was ready. Now, I'll talk about different types of shipping terms like FOB, CIF in a different video. After a few weeks, the mattresses were produced and they were ready to ship off. At that point, they handed it off to us and the mattresses were en route. With the mattresses, the process was actually really smooth, but I wouldn't do it again, and I'll talk about that in tomorrow's video. If you're interested in building your own product overseas, I'll liken it to building a custom house or ordering a car. You have a lot of say in the way you want it. You can choose colors and number of options, but at the end of the day, the contractor, the manufacturer, the dealer is really the one who's controlling the stakes and the keys. If you're going to go ahead and build something overseas, recognize the timeline might be much, much longer than you initially thought. It's not just going to be 2 months or 3 months, even though it'll say that they can have something ready in 30 days, does not mean that you will have your end product within 60 days. It really means that once you finalize on something, it'll take 30 days for them to produce, and even that might vary a little bit. So I would take whatever estimate you see on their website and multiply by like 5, because that gives you a safer bet of how much time it's going to take for you to go from start to finish. So there you have it. There's your introduction to manufacturing products overseas. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you guys did, please go ahead, like, comment, subscribe. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of The Mortal Entrepreneur, and I'll see you guys next time.